There is a piece of paper somewhere in the Blockbuster archives that changed the entire history of entertainment. It was a purchase offer. $50 million. For a tiny DVD buy-mail company nobody had heard of. The Blockbuster executives looked at it. They looked at the company's pathetic revenue. They looked at their own 9,000 stores, their 80 million active customers, their billion-dollar empire. And they laughed. The tiny DVD company was Netflix. The year was 2000. And by the time Blockbuster's lawyers finished laughing, they had set in motion the most spectacular corporate collapse in modern business history. By 2010, Blockbuster had filed for bankruptcy. By 2013, the last company-owned store closed. Today, there is exactly one Blockbuster left, a dusty storefront in Bend, Oregon, kept alive mostly out of irony. Meanwhile, Netflix is worth over $260 billion. They employ 14,000 people. They produce more movies than any studio in Hollywood. And it all started, every single dollar of it, because one company laughed at another. This is not just a story about two companies. This is a story about 5 decisions. 5 moments where Blockbuster had the chance to change everything and chose comfort instead. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how market leaders die. To understand how Blockbuster died, you have to understand how Blockbuster lived. And Blockbuster lived very, very profitably on late fees. In the late 1990s, Blockbuster's revenue model was brutally simple. You'd rent a movie for 3 days. Bring it back on time, you paid $4. Bring it back late, you paid $5 a day. In penalties. For the average American family renting 3 or 4 movies a week, late fees could easily hit $40, $50, even $60 a month. And Blockbuster was raking in $800 million a year just from late fees. $800 million. Every year. Just for people being forgetful. And here is the critical thing. Blockbuster didn't see this as a bug. They saw it as a feature. Late fees weren't an accident, they were the business model. Nowhere in Blockbuster's corporate strategy was the goal to eliminate late fees. The goal was to maximize late fees. They built entire systems around it, automated phone calls, colored envelopes, reminder postcards, all designed to extract the maximum dollar from every forgetful customer. Now, fast forward to 1997. A young software engineer named Reed Hastings returns a copy of Apollo 13 to his local Blockbuster 6 weeks late. The late fee? $40. Hastings is furious. He drives home. And in that moment of pure consumer rage, a thought forms in his head. What if there were a video store with no late fees? That thought became Netflix. And Blockbuster had no idea it was coming. But here's the thing, even if Blockbuster's executives had somehow seen the future, would they have acted? That's the trap. When $800 million a year is flowing in from one source, no executive in their right mind kills that source voluntarily. Blockbuster's first decision was to stay addicted to late fees. And every subsequent decision flowed from that one. In 2007, Netflix launched streaming. Within 2 years, they had 100,000 titles available online. Blockbuster's response? They called it a niche product. A small add-on. Something the tech bros would play with. Real customers, Americans, would always want to walk into a real store and browse real shelves. And to be fair, they had data to back this up. In 2009, broadband penetration in the US was still around 60%. DVD buy mail was still growing. Streaming was, objectively, a small piece of the pie. But here's what Blockbuster's executives missed. They were looking at a static snapshot. They weren't asking, how fast is this pie growing? Between 2009 and 2014, streaming grew at a compound rate of over 30% per year. DVD buy mail grew at 2%. Retail rental declined by 15% per year. Blockbuster was staring at a chart that looked like an EKG monitor of a dying patient, and they thought it was stable because they didn't like the alternative interpretation. The second decision, deny the data. Treat the future as a nuisance rather than a signal. Every quarter Blockbuster's own internal research showed streaming growing. And every quarter, leadership buried it under operational priorities. By the time Blockbuster finally launched its own streaming product in 2011, called Blockbuster On Demand, Netflix already had 25 million streaming subscribers. You don't beat a competitor by 4 years and $100 million of investment by launching second. But that's exactly what Blockbuster did. This is the part most people don't know. In 2004, Netflix's founders went to Blockbuster again with a different proposal. Not a sale. A partnership. The idea, Blockbuster would acquire Netflix, but instead of shutting it down, they would run it as Blockbuster's online arm. Blockbuster would get streaming infrastructure, a digital native customer base, and a tech-forward brand. Netflix would get Blockbuster's distribution muscle, its 9,000 stores, and instant credibility. Blockbuster flew the Netflix team to Dallas. They spent 2 weeks in negotiation. They were, in Reed Hastings' own words, this close to a deal. And then, at the very last moment, Blockbuster's CEO John Antioco pulled the plug. His reasoning? He believed Blockbuster could build its own online streaming platform internally. His board agreed. They thought they had the talent. They thought they had the brand. They thought they had time. They had none of those things. Now here's where the story gets weird. In 2005, just 1 year later, Blockbuster signed a completely different deal. They partnered with Walmart to put Blockbuster-branded DVD rental kiosks inside Walmart stores. On paper, this looked brilliant. Walmart had distribution. Walmart had foot traffic. Walmart had customer data. But in practice? It was a disaster. The kiosks were confusing, poorly maintained, and competing with Walmart's own DVD sales. Customers hated the experience. Within 18 months, the program was scaled back. By 2007, it was gone entirely. Blockbuster had passed on a gold mine, Netflix's entire streaming infrastructure, to chase a Walmart kiosk deal that died in less than 2 years. The third decision, mistake the cheap partner for the strategic one. In 2008, an internal Blockbuster memo leaked to the press. It contained a single line that has become legendary in business schools: Netflix's business model is unsustainable. They will not survive. This wasn't an analyst's report. This wasn't an external critic. This was Blockbuster's own internal research team. The people whose job it was to understand the competitive landscape had concluded that Netflix was a non-threat. The cultural rot inside Blockbuster at this point was staggering. Not only did leadership not understand what Netflix was building, their own data team couldn't convince them. Every quarter, Netflix was posting subscriber growth that defied every business model in history. Every quarter, Blockbuster's same analysts were predicting their collapse. And every quarter, Blockbuster's leadership chose to believe the second report over the first. This is what corporate denial looks like at scale. Not a single bad decision. Not a single villain. Just an organization that had collectively decided to stop seeing reality. The fourth decision, discount the threat because it would be inconvenient to address. The final, and maybe the most painful, decision. In Blockbuster's late stages, they had one asset Netflix didn't: millions of devoted customers. Families who had been renting from Blockbuster for 20 years. Grandparents who brought their grandkids in every Friday. People who genuinely loved the brand. Blockbuster's leadership looked at these customers and saw moats. Loyal customers. Recurring revenue. A barrier to entry that Netflix could never replicate. But here's what they missed. Customer loyalty is not a moat. Customer loyalty is a mirage. A customer who loves your brand today will abandon your brand the moment a competitor offers them a measurably better experience. Loyalty is not stored value. It's stored inertia, and inertia ends the moment gravity changes. By the time Blockbuster tried to convert their loyal customers to streaming by offering free streaming trials with their rental memberships, it was too late. The customers had already started drifting. Slowly at first. Then all at once. The fifth decision, confuse customer love for competitive protection. The Bend, Oregon Blockbuster, the last one standing, has around 14 subscribers left. They each pay $10 a month. The store survives on nostalgia, on Reddit memes, and on the tourist trade. But the franchise is dead. The brand is dead. The 80 million customers, the 9,000 stores, the billion-dollar revenue stream all dead. So what should we take from this? 5 decisions, each reasonable in isolation, each catastrophic in aggregate. The first decision, stay addicted to whatever is currently profitable, even when the world is changing beneath you. The second decision, deny the data when the data is inconvenient. The third decision, mistake the cheap partner for the strategic one. The fourth decision, discount the threat because it would be inconvenient to address. The fifth decision, confuse customer love for competitive protection. Blockbuster died because of all 5. Not 1. Not 2. All 5. And here's the part that should keep every business leader up at night. Every industry has its blockbuster moment. Sometimes it's already happened. Sometimes it's happening right now. The taxi industry thought Uber was a niche. The hotel industry thought Airbnb was a fad. The camera industry thought phone cameras were a toy. The question is not whether disruption is coming. The question is whether you, your company, your career, your industry has the courage to see it before it's too late. If this kind of business case study is valuable to you, subscribe. I make one of these every week, same depth, same level of evidence, same commitment to telling you what actually happened instead of what people pretend happened. Drop a comment. What's the blockbuster of your industry right now? I read every single comment. The best ones, I make videos about. And if you want to go deeper, watch this video next. It's the case study of how Kodak invented the digital camera and then destroyed themselves anyway. Until next time. Stay sharp.